So you want to know how to schedule and request a meeting more effectively, but you want to do so in a simple way. Well, this is going to be a quick and simple framework that you can use to really level up and keep the odds in your favor of getting those meetings. Thank you, Katniss. And if you stay till the end, I will have a professional and personal example that you can use starting today to really level everything up. So with that, keep everything simple. Let's jump right in. So how to request and schedule a meeting, a simple format. So this is going off of the who, why, what, when, and where. You might recognize this from your English class of who, when, where, why, and what, really talking about like a subject of an article or a subject of an essay. But I changed up a little bit to follow a more marketing-centric method. So starting with who do you want a meeting with? Why do you want the meeting? What value do you offer them because you want to lead with value? That's the start to the marketing method here. And when do you have openings that you can offer them, and where's the meeting happening? Is it happening in real life, outside in the real world, or is it happening here online? So following that method, let's dive a little bit into what each of these really mean. So who? You want to address who you are, and you also want to have a clear idea of who it is you're asking. So I would have a very different interaction with trying to request a meeting with my boss's boss than I would trying to request a meeting with a student that I happen to go to university with. And at the same time, you really want to have them understand who you are, because it's going to make it easier for them to either accept, decline, or renegotiate having that meeting if you give a little bit of who you are. So let's jump back into the next one. So from who, we then move on to why. So what's your purpose for wanting a meeting? What made you realize you wanted or needed one? And think of how to state that why clearly and simply. So when I talk about want versus need, it's very important to remember that these are technically two different categories. So a want is a nice to have, a need is a must have, and that will affect the urgency or the tonality of your request. And also talking about the why and how to state that clearly, you've probably heard of an elevator pitch where you have 1 to 2 minutes to really sell the person that you're in there with on who you are, what you do, and why you could help them and what your services provide. In this instance, again, following a marketing framework, you want to narrow it down to one sentence. Not 1 minute, but one sentence. 2 to 3, maybe, at max, maybe. But one is ideal if you can state it so clearly that they don't have to ask, what do you mean by that? Can you clarify? Because if you can answer distinctly that why, that's a good sentence. So then from there, we move on to what. And I stress this again, lead with value. What do they get out of the meeting? And this is a marketing method. So this is where you want to offer something of value before the ask. So for those of you who are subscribed to different email newsletters or email lists for different creators, you probably got a freebie out of it. You probably got a audiobook, a PDF, an ebook, a cookbook, a mini course, whatever it is. They gave you something of value in exchange for that email address. And that is the rule of reciprocity. So if you've read the book, Influence, Psychology of Persuasion, then you know that either through social constructs or through our own human predisposition, when we are given something of value, we have an innate desire to give something of value back, either of that same value or of disproportionate value. But the real simplification of that is that if you get something from someone, you have a higher chance of giving something back with a lot less resistance. From there, we move into when. When do you have openings that you can offer them? So this eliminates the guesswork for them when you have some ideas predetermined. It also shows that you've given this thought already and you aren't just throwing that message out into the void and hoping someone picks it up somewhere. And this also opens up a chance for conversation. And so by having that chance to have that back and forth, determine, does this time work for you? This time works for me. You get to build a little bit of rapport, which is good for building that kind of social capital that is going to expand and influence your network. And also at the same time, eliminating the guesswork for them is very important in allowing them to have less friction in saying yes to having that meeting. So from there, we move on to where. Where's the meeting happening? Is it in real life or is it online? So is this better in person? Is it better online? And that depends on situation. So you want to choose a destination or a program that works well for both of you. If you have to do a little bit more, that's perfectly okay. Because again, you are requesting something, so you want to provide more value than you're being given, but you're still going to get value out of this. And you want to keep it simple and low friction. So I can't stress these 2 points enough. Leading with value and keeping it simple. Because if you lead with value, again, you engage the rule of reciprocity. Give something to get something. And at the same time, if you keep it simple, that eliminates the mental hurdles they have to step through. Because if someone has to go through 5, 10, 15 hurdles to actually have that meeting, their brain has time to think through all the logical steps of, do I actually want to do this? Does this make sense for my time? Is it worth my time? Or are there other things that I could be doing that are going to be high impact? So you want to keep these things in mind when you try to keep the request simple, so that way they only have to say yes or no, or they can just click the link and get straight to it. So here's the first example. This is the professional example. So this is if you are trying to help out your lead. Hello, your lead's name. You're currently working on a large project and I'd love to help provide some extra support in getting the data together. Would you be able to meet at 3 p.m. next Tuesday or 11 a.m. this Saturday on Zoom to discuss the possibility? Going over that, it's hitting all 5 of those W's. So who, it's your lead. The why, they're working on a large project and you want to help alleviate some of their struggles. The what is that by alleviating some of their struggles, you're providing them value. The where, you are saying, hey, on Zoom, and the when, you got 3 p.m. next Tuesday or 11 a.m. on Saturday, giving them distinct options that they can either agree to or disagree to or negotiate with you. But it's leading with value because you're noting, hey, this is what you're doing and I'd like to help. I'd like to help alleviate the burden and alleviate some of the stress. And that can either be an email, a Slack message, but it's still trying to lead with value. And I'll go over emails in another video, but this is, again, a format that works either in person, online, however you're trying to communicate. So then we have the personal example. So this is if you're at university. Hey, student's name. I've seen you working on some interesting research and I'd really like to treat you to a cup of coffee, connect some more and hear your story. I have some time this Friday at 4:30 p.m. after class or this Saturday at 9 a.m. if those work for you at a university's coffee shop. So it's once again hitting the 5 W's. So it's the other student. They're working on some interesting research that you'd like to hear more about, but also get a chance to connect with them, grow both of your networks. So, and also hear their story. So lead them in compliments. So that's hitting value. And then you're saying, well, what do I have to offer? Again, the coffee, the time, and the connection. The where or the when, 4:30 p.m. after class on Friday, or 9 a.m. on Saturday, and the where, university coffee shop. So eliminating the guesswork for them and making it super easy to say yes or no. And that again eliminates friction, which is beneficial for you. So that leads us through the entire framework. So again, the who do you want a meeting with? Why do you want that meeting? What value do you offer them because you want to lead with value first? When do you have openings you can offer them? And where's the meeting happening? Is it in real life or online? Now, it's simple because that really is all there is to it. Now, there could be nuances and differences between different fields or different scenarios, but it really comes down to what value are you bringing to the table? What value are you hoping to get out of it? And trying to find that happy medium in there of providing them with more value than they realize or that they do realize, and that you also still get something of equal exchange. And this does seem a little odd. This style of asking someone is very forward and it will take practice, especially if you aren't used to being that forward. But expect it to take a little bit of work and expect to have some trial and error. Sometimes you'll get it right, sometimes you'll get it wrong. But the more you practice, the more you try to have the requests that ask in this method, then over time, the greater your ability to connect with others will become. So check out my video on rage applying also to hear a bit more about business news, keeping everything simple. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you all in the next one.